welcome in everybody to WarEagleTV.com. Doug Holton, along with Coach Fred Riley. We're here to talk about the Auburn quarterback situation. Of course, Bo Nix injured in the Mississippi State game over the weekend. TJ Finley will take over for the final two regular season games. Coach Harsin commented on Bo Nix's surgery this afternoon at his press conference, and let's listen into that quickly.
All right, well, first thing, we had a couple players in the last game that were injured, Bo Nix being one of them, who had a successful surgery today on his ankle, so that's positive. He's out and on the mend now. Anders Carlson had an ACL in this last game as well, so he'll have surgery here shortly. And a couple of our starting players that were injured in the game, and then now we're just moving forward and get those guys healed up, and then we'll have some guys that will have to step up and get their opportunities as we go into this week against South Carolina. So, but both those guys are good spirits, and it's unfortunate what happened to them, and those guys have handled it well, and guys on the team know what we need to do in order to have guys step up and be able to fill those roles and get ourselves ready to play in this next game.
So there you go, Coach. Bo Nix, successful surgery this morning, but he is out for the remainder of the regular season for the Auburn Tigers. TJ Finley takes over. Your take on the game Saturday? Certainly a big turnaround in the first half and the second half for Auburn and State.
Right. A lot of questions get thrown out there by coaches and by, armchair coaches, et cetera, about, and I'm not, I'm always usually take the side of the coaches. I mean, I tend to lean toward them because I've been in their shoes for 40 years. And, the first thing was, okay, well, why didn't Auburn do something differently defensively in the second half? Well, again, their plan was to let them dink them, let the field shorten up on them, and then make them kick field goals. And that had worked the whole ball game. The flip side of it, part of that is the offense makes first downs, moves the ball, and restricts the number of possessions Mississippi State gets.
Right.
And so it wasn't all the defense. The offense all of a sudden quits making first downs, and Mississippi State gets some rhythm going. So it's a combination of the two that I think brought on the collapse, the comeback, depending on which side of the equation you're on.
Right. And we don't know when exactly Bo broke his ankle. With 3:15 to go in the third quarter is when the play happened, but we're not quite sure. It probably happened then, but could have happened later since he continued to play. But Bo Nix is out. They talked a lot about his toughness this morning. Certainly that was, he was a tough character to go back in there and play for the plays that he did. But now we have a situation where you've got South Carolina and Alabama coming up. You got TJ Finley, who came in the Georgia State game and played pretty well, but he's in a tough spot these last couple of games.
Right, and I mean, there's a reason TJ's number two. I mean, we all know that. There's a reason there's a starter and there's a backup, and so how does the offense change around TJ? What are his strengths? What are the things that the coaches know that he can execute? What part of the offense can he manage? He's certainly the earlier glimpses of him we got. He's more of a pocket guy. He's not a real movement guy. We struggled up front some and with the pocket. So, what do they get the ball out of his hands? Hurry. They've got to be able to run the football. I mean, all those things that you have to do for any quarterback, but especially a backup quarterback on the road in the SEC.
Absolutely. And then the other injury that we haven't talked about yet, Anders Carlson, looks like he's out for the rest of the season with the ACL. The offensive line is certainly banged up like they were going into the game Saturday, more banged up now. So that's going to be tough for Auburn. But as far as Bo Nix and his future, what do you think? He's got another year at Auburn, coming back from an injury. I would think he's the kind of guy that comes back for another year, his senior season at Auburn, and tries to win a championship.
Oh, I think so, and you know, and of course the toughness thing with Bo. I mean, he's a coach's kid. Coach's kids are usually pretty tough. They grow up in tough environments. All my kids are pretty tough, so I got 5 of them. So, you know, and Bo is. I don't think there's any question Bo comes back and plays another year. He's got unfinished business as a quarterback at Auburn, and was really just sort of hitting his stride. So I would expect he'll be back and will be the best he's ever been next year when he does come back.
Yeah. And as far as TJ coming in for the South Carolina game, what do you think as far as changes? Coach Harsin mentioned that in the press conference, that they know what he's comfortable with, and it's a little bit different from Bo. Bo's more of a more athletic, perhaps running the football. But how does that offense change going into Columbia Saturday?
Well, again, I think we'll see fewer, you know, the zone read plays. You know, the explosive play that we scored on this week was a zone read triple option, throw it to the swing man out there in the flat. Those type plays will probably disappear in the offense. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much naked bootleg and things that they will do, but they can do some bootleg stuff and pull him up and throw. It ain't all going to pressure there. You've got to move the quarterback around. You can't leave a quarterback just sitting still. You know, I mean, they had to move Peyton Manning around some. I mean, you just can't. If they know where his launch point's always going to be, it is so hard on the offensive line. So they're going to have to move him. It'll just be a different kind of movement.
Mm-hmm. The question marks from the game Saturday, we talked about them a little bit a minute ago before we came on, but would you have kept Bo in the game knowing that he was injured? He had come out, they taped him up, he went back into the ball game. He looked pretty hobbled in there. Would you have tried TJ maybe earlier in the game?
Yeah, I think you have to trust your medical staff on that. I mean, that's what those people are there for. You start, you know, where does it end as far as overruling your medical staff, and where, you know, well, he don't need to go in. Well, I'm putting him in. Well, he needs to go. You know, he's okay. Well, no, I'm not. Those people are professionals. You trust them. You just handle coaching football. Mm-hmm. So I think the decision they made was all a team decision based upon what the medical staff told them, and I would certainly done the same thing.
Yeah, and it's exactly what Coach Harsin said earlier today. And the other thing we talked about, the 2-point conversion, which you didn't agree with what Auburn did Saturday.
Yeah, that was a sore spot for me. I mean, you know, again, when you've got to get the game to a 1-score game. You've been sort of on your heels the whole second half. You get it, you kick when it's like the old stuff when, you know, if they butt the ball, throw it to first and take the out. An extra point is an extra point. You've got a guaranteed 1 point to get it to 8. You got a great kicker who kicks the ball out the back of the end zone. They're going to be on the 25, and for the first time in the game, Mississippi State is defending a lead. As a play caller, it is different. Defending a lead versus attacking. Now you're trying to run the game out. Auburn still got all their timeouts left. You know, Auburn can now pressure them backed up if they want to. Go get them. The crowd's going to be on its feet. It's going to be loud. You know, I just thought at that moment, get it to 1 score. You got to go for 2 at some point in time, but you do it the second time, in my opinion, and then you don't have to onside kick. Yeah. You know, and then we onside kick, and that's where our kicker gets hurt. Yeah, you know, so there was a domino effect of that decision to go for 2 right there as opposed to kicking the extra point.
Well, we'll see what happens Saturday. The Tigers have a couple of big ball games left, and still mathematically, we'll say they have a chance to win the West, but their chances are a lot slimmer now than they were before the game Saturday, and certainly if they had to come out victorious Saturday. Always appreciate you being with us, Coach, and we'll talk to you a little bit later in the week.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.